Hey, what's the matter, you?
You guys know this one. Do a snippet of House of the Rising Sun. A little bit my version or different version because I like to try to do the finger picking, which is fun. So,
Nice.
shoot. There is a house in New Orleans. You call the rising sun, and it's been the ruin of any poor boy. God, I know I'm
And
one.
one. Nice. Yo!
Mother, tell your children not to do what I have done. Spend your life in pain and misery in the house of the rising sun.
Yeah. Nice.
Sorry, I was a little shaky. I apologize to my audience. I was a little shaky.
Yeah, I thought it was good.
Yeah, it's all fun. It's all good.
It's always
All right,
hard to do something fucking
off the
now that
cuff.
people are listening.
Yeah. Sometimes I'm better. Usually I practice or try to practice a little bit. But so let me share my screen. Mm.
Looks like some decent fights coming up on Paramount, huh?
Oh, I didn't see that. Are there?
Yeah. It's nice
Good.
that you don't have to worry about pay-per-view and that's nice.
I saw the advertisement for it. Like once it started having UFC, it came up like you could view all the old fights. You can view
Yeah.
every single one of them. I'm like, that's
They got the
impressive.
whole catalog in there. I watched some old one the other day. It was kind of a bad fight. It wasn't that great. It was all right. It was like from
Yeah,
uh,
I'm definitely interested in catching up on some of the ones that I missed, at least some of the good ones. So when do they do it? Is it Saturday also? Is that they do them?
yeah, I think everything's the same as that. Yeah,
Okay,
the times and
very
everything.
It's on Paramount.
very cool. Yeah, Paramount Plus. They bought UFC. Okay, can you guys? I assume you can see my slides.
Yeah.
So I originally was going to do a talk on zombies, which I actually did the briefing. I have it, but you're going to have to wait till my next one. So I already did that one. So I'm already ready with my next topic. But because of New Year's, of course, one of my not I tend to do a set of topics like what skills do I want to learn, what health kind of things do I want to do, what creative things do I want to do for the new year when I do my resolutions. For health, besides doing stuff like running at least 1 or 2 5Ks, obviously losing weight. Over the holidays, like many people, I gained more than 10 pounds. Actually, probably gained about 13 pounds. Fat bastard. So losing weight is important. I know how to lose weight. I've lost weight before. Lost weight just in August when I wanted to drop 10 pounds. I actually dropped, I think, 12 pounds. So I like to just think, this is kind of my own little phrase. I like to think it's basically just math, simple math. Unfortunately, simple does not mean easy. So I'm going to begin with the problem. obesity crisis in the United States. This graph on the right is a little bit dated. So it's actually worse now, but it still had a lot of good statistics in there. 25% of healthcare costs related to obesity. 1.5 billion people are overweight, and of course, this is a growing problem. This chart here says 1 in 8 are obese, 1 in 3 in the U.S. But then when I asked ChatGPT about it, you see it actually the stats for ChatGPT were worse. And they're even a little dated. 40% of U.S. adults are obese. 40%. Severely obese, 10%.
How are they measuring that? Is that through like just the BMI thing, you think, or is that?
We are going to talk about BMI. Unfortunately, I think that's a good point.
Because I bought a new scale that has 8 sensors on it, and it takes my measurements of all my body fat percentage,
Yeah.
and my muscle percentage and all that, and my BMI says that I'm obese.
Right.
It says that I'm heavy, which I don't disagree with. I'm just saying, but my body fat is only like 22%, and below 20% is within a healthy range. So I'm not that obese. But
Well,
I mean, because
I think
I have
you
more
are
muscle.
correct. We'll discuss this. I have a slide on BMI. I do not like BMI. BMI is a simple measure, right? So a lot of times, we like the simple thing because it's easy and simple, but it's a terrible measure. So if you're going, it's a good question. If they're going by BMI, the stats will be slightly worse. But the stats are so horrendous, even if you chop 10 or 15% off. I'll give you one simple example. You're different in the sense that, you have muscle on you. BMI doesn't account for muscle versus fat, but you're the exception. Most people who are obese, it's not about they have muscle. It's literally just that they're eating too much and they have too much fat.
Right.
But of course,
a lot of the screen is blurry. I don't know what's going on here. Is anybody else's blurry?
On the right hand side, I could read everything except the image with the
43
guy.
million children. It says world's fattest countries, not Nauru.
Nauru, FSM, Cook Islands, Tonga.
Those aren't blurry to you?
No.
That's blurry to me, but it's not. The other stuff I could read the text good. Like the other stuff has got a big font, but that, like you're saying, those images are a little bit blurry.
Yeah, and this I see the Japan one is a little bit blurry, but that's okay. I think the other ones will be better. I mean, that's really just, I can summarize, right? So the deal there is, of course, a problem statement. We're in the midst of an obesity crisis, right? But again, even just from your own health, right? There's all sorts of, besides diabetes, joint problems, heart problems, right? We understand that, we have issues with obesity and being overweight. But that also, of course, begs the question, well, so why is this so hard? Besides the issue that we are in a country of an abundance, right? You'd always see, like, when foreign exchange students come to our country, they can't believe our supermarkets, our super Walmarts, our Costco's. They're just like, they haven't seen that much food and products in one place. So we are in a land of abundance, and that's a good thing. But of course, it means that we are going to overconsume. But it's more than that, as you guys know, right? So this is an evolutionary strategy. Our bodies were designed this way because before civilization, hunting and gathering is hard and food is intermittent. So think about it from the evolutionary perspective. Is food is intermittent, you want the reality check. You want to be able to gain weight, store fat, and lose it slowly. From an evolutionary perspective, that makes a lot of sense. As well as, food is calorie dense. When you go through the numbers and the numbers, eating 1,000 calories is a joke. That's easy. You're like, well, wait a minute, one Big Mac and that's more than 1,000 calories. You're like, it's really easy to put on a lot of calories. Um, so, and again, then you look at the other side and you look at how much exercise it takes, and they got calculators for everything now. And of course, ChatGPT, you can just put in any question, how much do I lose in an hour from this exercise? It'll tell you exactly what it is. Take a picture of your food, it'll tell you exactly. And they have all sorts of apps I know for this also, but ChatGPT will do that all now. Take a picture of your food, it'll tell you exactly how many calories it has. So it makes it easy to track it. But the bottom line is, from an evolutionary perspective, losing weight is hard. It's slow and it's hard. And that's just the reality, you know.
Yeah.
Now, of course, it's funny. Let me just go back to that slide for 1 minute. It's funny that we say that. And of course, the hottest thing now is GLP-1 drugs, and Norvik, whatever the company is, Nordisk or Norvik, I forget the name of the company. They're the ones who have Wegovy, and they just released a pill instead of the shot, which was the GLP-1 shot. They just released the GLP-1 pill, which, of course, you may know, this is the drug that was used for diabetes, but the side effect was that it made people lose weight. So now it's been repurposed as a weight loss drug. I don't know if the jury's out if there are any long-term effects on it. But it's very popular. Christian, did you say you're taking something like that?
Yeah, I am. I'm taking sort of like Zepbound, where it blocks two hormones that it's like an appetite. You know, it reduces your appetite. It makes you feel full.
It's not GLP-1, or is it?
It is, yeah, but it's got two hormones on it instead of one.
Okay.
The Zepbound is like it's in the same family. I'd have to look up exactly what the difference is, but I know that there's two blockers instead of one, and it makes you feel fuller quicker and less hungry. And they're also finding that it's helping people with like alcoholics, and because you have less of a desire to do that type of stuff. They're finding that.
Are you concerned about any future studies come in and say, oh, by the way, in 5 years we find out it
been
causes
used for a long time. They've been using it for a long time
as a diabetes drug?
Yeah, it's been around for a long time.
That's a good thing.
And they're finding also that whatever study now, something with dementia, they're finding that it does help in other things.
Right.
Yeah.
Does it turn you as white as a ghost? Because you're as white as a ghost, man.
I don't live in a sun state where you freaking bake like a clam in the damn sun all the damn time.
I see him white, but that be white.
You know, I don't want skin cancer, you prick.
Joe's gonna get us banned off of YouTube for impersonating other races.
No, but I mean, I like. I think for me, it was like I don't know. I've always struggled with my weight since I was probably 13 or something. I've always been heavy and overeating and stuff, and it's a cultural thing.
Yeah.
I think our whole culture is based around eating. It's like, oh, what time is it? It's lunchtime. We gotta eat. Oh, it's dinner time. Oh, I want the cheesy melting and ooh, it's like fucking. It's like an orgy for your mouth. It's like
I mean, it's absolutely moved beyond survival. It's for enjoyment. It's entertainment.
Every meal is supposed to be like so satisfying and gratifying. Like, oh, I can't wait till I get that double bacon, egg, and cheese with the fucking, it's
oh yeah, melt, you bitches.
But like, I don't know, I'm down 60 pounds since I blew up and I was like, my knees were hurting. I wasn't feeling well. I was winded going upstairs a little bit. Even though I was working out, I wasn't really like cardiovascular, obviously wasn't,
Yeah.
So
well, I also think that it's kind of funny. I was always against the notion that psychiatrists had to use drugs, but one of them explained it in a way that made a lot of sense, and some of it I think is kind of what you're alluding to, which is you got to also look at the problem in terms of severity. So in other words, if your weight balloons to a point where you got to lose a significant amount of weight, then using a drug to help you chop that down, especially if you can then get off of it and maintain the natural weight, I think is reasonable. And that's what the psychiatrist was talking about them. It's not supposed to be a lifelong thing. The drugs are meant to sort of stabilize the patient, get them in a better state of mind, and then wean them from them as they get the counseling and the good habits back in order.
Yeah. I think that's a good way of looking at it. That's what
So, go ahead.
That's what my plan is with this particular thing. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, okay. So once you realize, okay, I got to lose some weight, like I just said for myself, you know, I've always been of the belief that, well, two things, as you see there, the headline, what is measured improves. You know, when you get serious about things, when you get serious about something, you have to track your progress. You have to take a baseline, you track where you are. You need to understand really concretely where you want to be, and you make a plan to get there. When you're serious, you track progress. This is actually a graph, and this is just from my phone. I used to do it on paper. Then over in the last 5 years, obviously, not every day, but whenever I wanted to lose weight, I would always track, okay, I'm here, and see as it goes down. So this is literally over the last 5 years, from 2020 to 25. You could see I fluctuate between 170 and should be 180, but sometimes I go over 180. And I was at the beginning of this week at 183. So that's what you see there in and out after the holidays, 183. So as you can see, you know, I know my numbers, and that's a really important thing we're going to get to next. You need to know your numbers. You need to know where you should be. What weight should you be? And that doesn't mean BMI, especially if you want to put on muscle. But even regardless of that, you should know where you should generally be. Like I know for myself, I should be at 170 or below 170. I've actually at one time, just as an aside, I did get to my BMI weight, and Lynn hated it. I have to be like 155 or something to get to my BMI weight, and I look too skinny. My face gets drawn. Lynn hates it. So for me, with the amount of muscle that I have on, 168 to 170 is the correct weight.
Nice.
Oops, sorry. Come on. So we're talking about, know your numbers. What is your healthy weight? You must know a number. What weight do you want to be? We're going to talk about the BMI controversy next. But the key thing is also you should know some of these other numbers. There's about, and again, you see the squiggly line, that means about. The tilde is about 3,500 calories in a pound. And you see here, this is the actual machine that they use to measure it, called a calorimeter, which is kind of cool. A calorie basically is how much energy does it take to raise the temperature 1 degree by burning the substance, something like that. Wow. So that's how they define a calorie, and that's how they measure it, by actually burning the substance. So you burn, of course, even when you're sedentary, because, you know, your heart's beating, your lungs are breathing, you know, your cells are doing their thing with, etc. So you burn by doing nothing, because your body's not doing nothing. Your body is functioning, and your lungs are functioning, your heart is functioning. Again, this is estimates. And of course, all these things change based on your age and your lifestyle, et cetera, et cetera. But the bottom line is, and there's plenty of calculators, and you can ask ChatGPT for your age, your sex, et cetera. How much do I burn every day? You need to know that. So you know how much is in a pound. You know how much you burn. This is going to be a simple subtraction problem, right? You're gonna have a certain number of inputs. You're going to burn a certain amount, and you're either then going to have a deficit or a surplus at the end of the day. And of course, most people, let's be honest, most people, it sneaks up on them. because as you get older, your metabolism slows down, you're naturally burning less, and therefore you get that slow daily surplus. And then, boom, you look around and you go, where'd I get this gut from? Or why is my ass so big? It sneaks up on you. So that is also another important thing. It's really also interesting as you get older. How do you carry weight? Like, I noticed my weight pretty quickly because I carry it all right here in my lower stomach, which is very common. But some people, I actually think, Christian, you're kind of like this, and I know our sister Lori is, they'll carry weight all over the place. So it's not as noticeable. And typically people who carry weight all over their body can actually carry more because it's a little less noticeable. Whereas if it's in one spot, when that spot balloons, you see it. So the key thing to know, though, of course, is when you're thinking about this, you know your weight you should be, you know your burn, you know how many calories are in a pound. And then you can kind of figure out, like, what daily deficit do I need to lose weight reasonably? Now, before we go there, let's just briefly talk about BMI. Because if you're talking about how do you know what weight you should be, the most common things doctors go by, of course, the smarter doctors don't use this really anymore. I mean, the biggest thing is that what you see on the chart, BMI does not distinguish fat from muscle. It is a simple weight divided by height formula. So it's really just based on your height. And that's it. In other words, based on your height, you should be this weight. Done. And there is bands for what's normal, what's overweight, et cetera, in terms of BMI. But it is really that simple. It's really just based on height. And of course, that's kind of foolish. So it ignores fat from muscle. It ignores fat distribution. You know, they say abdominal fat, that visceral fat's the worst. It doesn't account for sex, age, or ethnic variation. Again, that's just unrealistic. So use BMI as a guide, but understand that it's flawed. So if you're going to do weightlifting, you're gonna add at least 10 to 15% to what is a good weight. Oh, sorry. All right. So now that you know your weight, you know that BMI is just a guideline. You got to get serious. Another part of tracking. You know, if you're going to go for a daily deficit, you have to know how much you're eating. Again, I do now all this just on my phone. This is a little snippet from my phone. You know, the bottom line is chart everything. Don't cheat. You can use calculators to tell you the number of calories in everything. Tally it up, and you're going to get a number. You see there, 1240, 1660, and that's always eating 3 meals. None of these you see me skipping meals or any kind of crap like that. Again, we're going to talk about that next. I don't think that's smart, So you should always be eating at least something. You can eat small meals, you can eat less, but you should not, try to, cut as many calories as you can per day. So track your burn, calories out. This is a little harder, but again, there's calculators for all this, and ChatGPT can tell you all this. You tend to, like I did last week, you tend to get motivated when you start, right? You're fired up. You're like, yeah, let's lose weight. Yes, let's do this calculation. I tend to do what I call a triple play, right? So triple play means I get in some cardio, like I'll do some walking, at least a couple miles, like usually 2 or 3, starting out 2, especially when you're just starting out again. Targeted exercise. We talked about knowing where you accumulate fat. Well, target that, because even if you don't get all the way down, if you're targeting the areas like me with my lower stomach, I have a Firm Abs tape I've done for years. I love it. Firm Abs DVD. I do that. I love it. And I target my stomach. So that's second. And then, of course, do some kind of weightlifting. So that's what I call a triple play. And, you know I'm absolutely going to burn enough calories if I do my triple plan. If you want to burn more, you can do, remember, Christian, you were talking about, if you're taking a break from work or whatever, or you're working from home, you stand up every 45 minutes and do 10 squats or do push-ups, do whatever. You can always burn more. Set a reasonable weight loss goal. I think this is really important. And I think this is one of the key reasons that most people do yo-yo diets, right? In other words, you can easy to say, I want to lose whatever. I want to lose, a pound a day. I've done that before. Foolishly. I wasn't happy unless I was trying to lose a pound a day, which is ridiculous. Or a pound every other day. That's kind of really unrealistic and will tend towards yo-yo diets. Personally, what works for me is 2 pounds a week. Another thing in that, I used to weigh myself when I was losing weight every day, which is terrible because, natural fluctuations with water, you can drink a lot of water and put a pound on in water,
Definitely.
So yeah, because there's so much fluctuations with water, much better to just set a weekly goal to lose. I like 2 pounds a week. Some people recommend, I think Weight Watchers recommends 1 pound a week. But again, just the idea that you see here, it's not just trying to drop stuff for bikini season. I've heard women say that. It's really focusing on how do you be healthy.
I have some comments to make about protein and stuff like that.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know when the right time is. So good. Now is good.
Yeah.
Anyway, with the GLP-1, I was also looking at recommendations on what to take, and I think it's applicable for life in general. Is that they say, eat protein, have a lot of fiber. I take also the fiber pills from Costco as an added, because if you're not getting enough fruits and vegetables, then the fiber pills, like, it's a natural husk, whatever they use, it's some natural ingredient that's not bad for you. But and then certain vitamins they recommend when you're on that too, like fish oil, they recommend that. And so I just take a couple of things, and the protein they recommended, I think it's hard to do, but I get somewhere close to it, but it's let's say 1 gram of protein per pound, where you want to end up, let's say, but that's hard to do. Like, if you wanted to end up at 180 grams of protein would be a lot. So I just get about 90 to 100. They say that's because you want to maintain your muscle mass.
Right.
Because a lot of people that take this GLP-1 drugs, they call it GLP-1 face. There's like a nickname for it on like YouTube or something.
Yeah, I've heard about it.
The people, they're not they're not keeping their protein high, and they're not really exercising, and they end up losing a lot of muscle. Because if you're not eating, well, your body's going to pull from the muscle too, not just the fat. Right. So they look skinny, but they're also in terrible shape, and their face sags because they're not keeping their muscle up. So I don't know. I just figured.
Well, you definitely have to keep us in the loop on your thing. You said you already lost 60 pounds, so that's great. So clearly it's working for you.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's not easy. It's still because I have such ingrained bad grooves of eating patterns. I'm a binge eater, and I think a lot of people are, but I just don't. I don't know. The willpower is not there because I love sweets, and I like chips. I like chips and I like sweets. And the kids have it because they need snacks for school, so it's there.
Right. Well, I think this is perfect segue for this slide. Joe, did you have something you wanted to say before we go to this slide, or we can?
30 grams of protein in 1 chocolate. Nope.
How many grams of protein?
30.
Oh, wow. That's pretty good. I got ice cream that has, and it tastes really good. I sent Joe this pic of this ice cream from Target. It's got 30 grams of protein and only like 450 for the whole pint. It's like 450 calories.
Wow.
Called protein ice cream. It tastes good. It really tastes good.
That's good. I think so. I think the point you were making before is really important, right? Most of losing weight is psychological, right? You get into these habits, you get into these grooves. And most of it revolves around comfort things, like like when do I snack? At the end of the night, me and Lynn always watch a show, and that is my prime. And like you said, chips. She'd buy a bag of Doritos. Now I would containerize, so again, even doing it quote unquote right, like not having the whole bag in front of you, but still you containerize. But even still, you look at the back of the bag, and it says, yeah, 12 chips is 300 calories or something like that, right? And who the hell counts out 12 chips, right? You take a handful or 2 handfuls, you throw it in the bowl, and you're good to go. But if you actually counted your chips in those bowls, you went from 12 to 43.
Right.
So it's absolutely, well, there's lots of parts to this, right? Like I was saying, though, you don't want to starve. You don't want to lose weight too fast. Again, the goal is just a daily deficit, no matter how small. So you shouldn't be voraciously hungry when you're dieting. You should not be voraciously hungry. It's okay to be a little bit hungry every now and then. It's not going to kill you. Again, it's about, psychology. Even just think of that psychology. You got to ask yourself this one question. Is it okay for you to be a little bit hungry? If you're the type of person that gets quote unquote hangry, you got some psychological issues. Because the real answer is it's okay to be a little bit hungry and not be an asshole. So that's why I also think things like cheat days are important. But again, we're not talking cheat days where you go crazy, but you should still have a day where you can have, like as an example with me and Lynn, our cheat day is once a week. I get Fridays. I get Fridays off because I work more hours the other days of the week, 4 days of the week. So Fridays is an off day, and Friday morning we go to breakfast, and I have waffles. We have waffles and hash browns. It's a Waffle House breakfast. We enjoy that. That's my cheat day. So the other thing I would say is, again, weigh yourself weekly, get a long-term mindset. I do find, though, like with the not snacking, since that's my weakness, and a lot of people's weakness is late nighttime snacking. I do find that it takes at least a week or two, at least a week before you're comfortable not doing that habit. It takes really, after about 2 weeks, it becomes, even definitely 3 weeks, but sometimes 2 weeks, it becomes no big deal. Like you don't miss it. You're not like pining for that late night snack. But it takes, to be fair, it takes at least 2 weeks of not having that nighttime snack to stop
It's a
pining.
conditioning mechanism, like a Pavlovian. Like if you always sit down in the same chair and eat Doritos every night, when you sit in that chair, your brain will go, "Oh, Doritos." You have to break that cycle of that conditioning. And it's like,
as an example, one thing that I do that's useful, and I'm doing it right now. You do a substitute. Lynn bought apple, so now instead of the bowl of chips, she has an apple slicer. I take an apple, I slice up the apple, and I eat some apple slices.
nice.
It's it works, and it's at least I have something. So, but then, like I said, after a couple of weeks, then it's not going to bother me. I won't even need the apple slices. Joe, do you got any thoughts on that?
No, nothing.
I do find that I like fasting also. I think that's also important. I don't know if you were going to get to that or not.
No, I didn't. That's a good point. I can pause here if you guys want to talk about it. I do think intermittent fasting's good. Again, I think it kind of goes to the point I was talking about where being a little hungry is okay. I do think intermittent fasting is good. Sometimes I've done it before. I'm not doing it right now, but I do think intermittent fasting is some of it's, again, it's a little bit of like asceticism, where it's okay if you look at like the Stoic philosophy. It's okay to be able to endure some hardship without crumbling. And I think that segues well into this. If you haven't read David Goggins' book, Navy SEAL, started out extremely obese, but really was determined to get his act together. And he has something he calls the book is called Can't Hurt Me. Really good book. You'll tear through it. And of course, he's got a lot of interesting. And the guy's a beast. And he broke all sorts of contests. Now he does like all sorts of crazy endurance things. Running more than 100 miles and stuff like that. But what stuck with me was what he called his accountability mirror, because he realized, of course, it was raw that he was lying to himself, right? We are so quick to rationalize failure, because again, a lot of this is a mental game. So the accountability mirror is really just holding yourself accountable and winning at the mental game. Be honest with yourself. If you're overweight, admit it. If you're fat, admit it. I've always liked this, my golden rule of addressing a problem, admit it, own it, fix it. And ownership of it is really important. Owning the problem. That's when you're serious about it. That's when you're tracking it. So I started this last week. I did hit my goal this week. I did drop 2 pounds. So I would end this by just saying, everybody can do this. The math is simple, but it's not easy. And I will say, like Christian was getting at, if you have a lot to lose, you look at the GLP-1 stuff, but do it in conjunction with what Christian was getting at, in conjunction with exercise and weightlifting. You guys got any?
Drinking a lot of water and stuff, because the problems that people have with it are like they're their stomach hurts or they're constipated or doing that. That's why you got to drink a lot of water and eat fiber so that you go regularly. And then you won't have, if you don't overeat, I've done it before where my stomach was killing me, is because I forced myself to eat more. And then I had a bad, your stomach you will get discomfort.
Right.
If you force yourself to eat extra,
I
like fasting too, like Joe was saying. Sorry, Joe.
No, that's okay. I mean, I only spoke 3 words the entire time. No, I find that Christian had sent something that was like, stop eating at a certain time at night and then go through 16 hours of not eating. And you can do that pretty damn easy. I stopped at about 8 o'clock at night, which means I got a really good night's sleep. I was not hungry going to sleep. I'm not saying that I did a heavy indulgence at 8 o'clock. I had a meal at like 5, but I would, eat something light before because I didn't want to disrupt my sleeping habit. And then I'd wake up at, normal 5. I just would skip breakfast and have water. And by 12 o'clock, you're at your 16 hours. Right. So you're eating lunch. I mean, so you're eating lunch, you're eating dinner. You're really just missing one meal to get a 16-hour fast in, which is like, really? That's, pretty damn good. The only thing I don't like like Christian had said, was I don't want to lose the muscle. I don't want to lose the muscle mass. And it's like, I want to work somehow that into the losing of the weight. Like I want to decrease the calories, but I want to increase my protein intake so that I'm not losing that mass, that muscle mass, which to me seems really easy now, or easier. Wait a minute, hang on, we have a side note.
What muscle mass?
See what I mean? Did you hear that? He said, what muscle mass? See? No. All right. But you know where I'm going with that, right? I mean, it's like, I don't want to lose that.
Although, I mean, if you think about fasting, so I don't think it's necessary. I think, again, it's a technique. But if you think about it from the calories perspective, how does it affect your calories? In other words, if you think about it from input and output or input and burn, how does it affect your calories? I assume, obviously, if you're eating 2 meals, it's going to be less calories than eating 3. But to be honest, you could have the same number of calories in 3 meals than in 2. So if you just look at it from how much you taking in versus how much you're burning, you don't really need to do intermittent fasting.
I was looking into the just because I'm cutting down. I was cutting down to 2 meals, and I was just wondering what studies and stuff, and they were saying that it's as you get older, it's advisable only because you're gonna eat a little bit less calories, but you're also probably it's less of like spikes in your your blood sugar low, your blood sugar low.
Yeah.
So
I do find eating breakfast is easy to skip, especially if you're having like coffee or whatever. It's easy to skip. I could skip it if I want to. I usually have a bar. I have to have a kind bar. It's probably, I don't know, 180 calories or something like that. So it's not like we're talking about a big breakfast here. A kind bar.
To make my own.
Say what?
I'm thinking of starting to make my own.
Yeah.
Oh.
My own breakfast bar because it's so easy. Like on YouTube, there's a ton of people that do it. You put like protein powder, rolled oats, and a couple of other ingredients like honey and blah blah blah, and mix it together and bake it for 20 minutes. And you cut it in squares, and then you got your breakfast bar. And it's
I can see that. I do. I wanted to try to reduce the sugar, so I do Kind Zero, and I think they're pretty good. They're tiny, like they're really tiny. Anyway.
You have to be careful with Christian's advice. Like he could recommend like powdered peanut butter, and forget to tell you that it unfortunately crushes you, and you're sitting in the John, dropping like everything in your entire intestines. It was like he failed to let me know 2 scoops a day or something like that. I was like, blew up. And one other thing that I'm supposed to have 5 of these and get 500 milliliters, 2,500 milliliters. I do not get enough water.
Really? That's not that much.
Oh, really, mister?
Well, I mean, if you start out with one, right when I wake up, I have a 16 ounce, and then I have another 16 ounces like an hour later. I'm already at 32 ounces. That's just before I leave.
I can tell you, I always know when I'm dehydrated, and I like water. Actually, I mean, as a programmer, I've always drank water, but honestly, I don't know if I get enough. I do know I constantly drink water throughout the day, but I don't really measure how much I'm supposed to drink. I drink as much as I can.
I have an app that seems to tell me when I need to drink, and it's going off. I feel like I'm always behind on drinking the amount of water that I'm supposed to have. And let's see, Christian. So you said 32 ounces. Let me see what this is. This is 16. So you start with 2 of these in the morning. I start with 1.
Yeah, usually I'll have that. I'll have a cup of coffee in between, and then I'll have another thing of water. I drink 2 cups of coffee and 2 things of water before I leave to work.
Hmm.
And then
I don't quite understand if the coffee constitutes water. I know it's mostly water, but again,
no, I never treated that as water. I think the body treats it differently, right? I mean, it breaks it down, sure, but I don't think it's got to go through your kidneys and your whatever.
Yeah,
first, right?
I mean, but Christian, your coffee is so light; it's like water. So
he likes the dark cough, man. Now, and he got me addicted to that. You bastard. Now mine does feel like water. I said,
well, okay. When I was at Joe's house, it takes 45 minutes for him to make a pot of coffee.
Dude, you could have seen him.
Meanwhile, at my house, it's Keurig. Put the pot in. 30 seconds later, you got a cup of coffee. Joe, you got to start it, go to the bathroom, take a shower. Eventually, you get a cup of coffee.
You start your day. You get moving before the go. Mike was sitting at the damn table going, I can't believe I'm waiting for my coffee. What the hell? How can you, splurge for a Keurig, man? I want to be able to have my coffee.
I don't like the Keurig because it's all plastic. The hot water with the plastic, you're getting a nice dose of plastic.
Well, I mean, yeah, who knows about microplastics? Like, I'm sure it causes cancer or something, but yeah.
I hear we drop a credit card a year. in our waste.
I mean, I don't know. It makes sense. I mean, I get it. I don't think they've ever. I've never read a study yet that really talks about like what is the damage or what you know. I mean, if I mean everything we have is plastic. The bottle Joe has is plastic. This glass is plastic. You know, I mean, there's a lot of there is absolutely a lot of plastic in our life.
Yep. I'm sure it's not good for us because it's man-made. It's not natural. It doesn't break down. When they do the autopsy, they said it's all in your, it's inside of your liver and inside of your body. And all that.
This is my next week, dude. You're taking my next week. Take that this week.
All right,
Come
all
on.
right. You're the one
What is your next week? How to not use plastic?
How you can crap a credit card a year in plastic.
Nice.
Well, I guess you're done.
I was thinking of doing it on. I don't have one. I was gonna because we were talking about the plastic. I felt it would probably be a good one, but we're trying to stay positive. So, and I also want to do one on how to do a presentation because a lot of our slides are way against regulation. You're not supposed to have a book on a slide. It's supposed to be a couple of bullet points with a picture or a
Wait a minute. Considering your slides have 0 diagrams, 0 entertainment value.
Look, I'm trying to teach ChatGPT how to put those in.
Okay.
He hasn't figured it out yet.
A little effort here. All right.
70 degrees today. What was your temperature? I'm just curious.
I was snowing here.
I think 40 something.
Yep. I was hot today. I went biking, so I got sunned today.
Nice.
Let me learn you something.
What do we learn? Sun. You go on the bike and you get sun. Woo!
It's a big thing, man. I'm like red, beet red. Christian, I'm telling you. Go ahead.
I'm getting you with the. I got a nice bounce going off of my skull here.
Man, you are white. Do you have any sun out in New York? It's just ignores all of New York.
It's been freaking miserable out lately. It's depressing.
Did you see that Anna beast that just walked by? Damn thing's so big. All right, well, it was good talking, guys.
All right, guys.
Arrivederci.